Hello again, chaps and chapettes. How are we all doing? It is lovely to see you all again, as always. Now, I said to you guys in my last video, I'd probably see you in about 5 or 6 hours with another article about you know who. And lo and behold, I have that said article. Well, I suppose one article plus 0.5 of that article. I'm not quite sure what's going over in Kent. I'm going to speak to you about that just in a moment after I've gone through this specific story. Now, I must reiterate to you, my friends, this is a couple of months old. This took place at the end of July. The reason I'm bringing it to you is because I haven't covered it. I was unaware of this ever happening. I've got to thank Sargon Avocado over on YouTube for bringing this to my attention. And I'm pretty sure if I wasn't aware of it, someone who runs a YouTube channel who makes it his daily life to scour press and social media for content, if I'm unaware of it, I'm pretty sure most of you were unaware of it as well. Now, this involves, obviously, an illegal immigrant, this time a Syrian asylum seeker. Here's a point, my friends. What is the definition of an asylum seeker in this country in 2025? Now, to me personally, the archaic, clueless me, an asylum seeker is someone who is fleeing a war-torn country whose life is in serious danger, asks, not demands or breaks in, asks if they can be a resident there until the war or whatever's going on, civil war in their country, is over, and then they would like to go back home. That is an asylum seeker to me. The prime example is people coming over from Ukraine. The women, the children. You very seldom see a Ukrainian man in this country who was fleeing the war being fought by Russia. It's all women and children. And these women and children don't want to stay here. 90% of the time, they want to stay here to keep themselves safe. And once the war is lost, which is inevitable, against Russia, they will go back home. And they will integrate into the new, district, I suppose, of their country that has been made by President Putin. It seems to me an asylum seeker in this day and age is someone who hops, skips and farts into whatever country gives him the most. That is not an asylum seeker, my friend. That is a scrounger, a loser who is incapable of holding down a job, a meaningful job, and providing for his family, which any man should be able to do, any real man. These are the people who leave their wives, their families, their children, whatever, back into whatever worn-torn possible shithole they ever come from. And they come here, have a good old jolly up, outward our women, molest our children, and then once they start getting the collars felt by the old bill, they go. They go over to Germany, France, Spain, Italy, Netherlands, you name it. They'll go there under the cover of darkness and integrate into there and do the exact same in there. See what they can get from the country, see what they can get out of the justice system, see what they can get away with, and then gone. And to the next country, Spain, France. There's a whole host of countries for these parasites to infest. So I ask you, as a little bit of a side bit, what is an asylum seeker, the definition in 2025? Because it certainly isn't the definition that I fucking grew up with. Bearing in mind, sorry guys, I've got to reiterate, this happened at the end of July, so not that long ago, a couple of months, but then again, this is the first I am hearing about this. And an asylum seeker, again, what is an asylum seeker, from Syria, who outwarded a 12-year-old girl after offering her vape and crisps while he worked illegally at a supermarket in Birmingham. Now, I'm willing to bet that this supermarket wasn't Asda, Tesco, Sainsbury's, Waitrose, Morrison's. I'm willing to bet This was one of these Middle Eastern, sort of like independent supermarkets you get on a street corner. The only thing I can liken it to, well, not liken it to, the only thing I can think of is a Polski sklep. I know what they're called. They're the Polish corner shop markets, whatever you want to call them. I think it was a variation of a Polski sklep. The people that employed him knew who he was, knew where he came from, and probably knew the type of person he was. He was working there, cash in hand, probably above the shop, living there as well, simply to keep the old Bill and the authorities from feeling his collar. It's a wash, my friends. It doesn't just stop and start with the migrant hotels. There are people out there facilitating these people, letting them work for cash in hand, finding them accommodation that they own. Because let me tell you, Indians and Pakistanis in this country own a whole host of properties that they rent out. I used to live in one. Remember my old house where it was drafty as fuck and I used to refer to it as a shed? Our landlord was a Pakistani. 750 quid he used to charge us for staying in that fucking pit. This place, £740. £10 less than where we were. Anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent here, guys. So, Syrian asylum seeker, 12-year-old girl, our word, working in a supermarket in Birmingham. I'm willing to bet it's not a chain supermarket. Could face deportation. That Epping hotel, I'd say Epping Forest then, that Epping hotel migrant has been deported back to Ethiopia, I think it was. Fair enough, he went willingly with 500 quid in his back rocket. But even still, this person could face deportation for actually our wording. The Epping hotel migrant molested somebody. He didn't rape them. I'm not trying to put a correlation between the two. They're both as bad as each other. But the Epping hotel, they did it again, Epping Forest. The Epping hotel migrant molested someone. This person R-worded a child, So, swings and roundabouts, my friend. Could face deportation under a change in the law. Who proposed that change in law, I wonder? Wahid Mohammed. So we've got someone here with the same first name, with the same last name. That's like me being called Daniel. These people, they're fucking screw loose. Wahid Mohammed, who's 22, who lived in Warsaw, told the victim it was not safe on the streets. Now, why on earth is it not safe in the streets of Birmingham? I'll tell you why. Because there's people like Mohammed here roaming around the place. And it's not just Mohammed roaming around the place. There's an entire fucking city of these people roaming around the place. Kids are not safe. Women are not safe. And it's getting to the stage now where men are no longer safe in major cities up and down the UK. And what's the government doing about it? Fuck all. They want it, you see. They want this to happen. Governments, past and present, want this to happen. They want us to be under a microscope, an Islamic microscope, to be there like lambs to the slaughter. It's obvious. If they didn't, these people would be stopped. They would be kicked out. They would be ceased. There would be a massive barrier around the cliffs of Dover, the entire country. We would build a Donald Trump type wall all around the English Channel with a massive 600-ton gate stopping them. Cargo can come in, of course they can. People coming in on P&O ferries, people who pay to go on holidays, of course you can come in, provide your passport. Anything else floating over from France, including fishing boats. It happened on the 24th of September last year at Villa Supermarket in Handsworth. I told you, didn't I? What the fuck is Villa Supermarket? Is it a place somewhere in Birmingham, like maybe a Happy Shopper in the northwest of England? I don't know. Do let me know in the comments if there's any Brummies in my subscribers. What is a Villa Supermarket in Handsworth? I've got no idea. Is it independent or is it a chain? I'm willing to bet it's some sort of chain, like a Nisa. And we all know the type of people who frequent Nisas. The girl who had left her home earlier that day ended up in Birmingham city centre around 8:30 that night. Andrew Wallace, prosecutor... Oh my God, a prosecutor with an English name. Andrew Wallace. I can say Andrew Wallace. Wonderful. Andrew Wallace, prosecuting, told the court the victim had been helping a homeless woman despite having only a couple of pounds herself. You see what I mean? This poor girl, 12 years old, and she's there giving her probably pocket money to some homeless woman. I don't know what sort of homeless woman this was. I can't see her wearing a headscarf. She'd be in a hotel somewhere. But nonetheless, this poor 12-year-old was giving up her own money and her own time to help people on the street. You can only tell what sort of person this was. Unspeakable, my friends. He said she brought the lady a cup of tea. The homeless lady then walked her down Villa Road to Villa Supermarket. Oh, hang on a minute. As soon as the defendant saw her, he said, "You look really young." Again, I brought you a video not a couple of days ago where someone was so stunned about how young someone looked. Ultimate fucking alarm bells are ringing. If you go to someone and you compliment them, especially when you can see they're probably mid to early teens, "Oh wow, you look so young." That's weird. That is bad. That is alarm bells. That is nonsense. It's the poster for nonsense. As soon as the defendant saw her, he said, "You look very young. You really look cold. Do you want to come into this shop?" I'm beginning to see it now. This young girl brought a cup of tea to this homeless woman. This homeless woman, who I think was in on the act, led her down the street to this corner shop and presented her to this fucking animal. That's what I think has happened here, my friends. As soon as the defendant saw her, he said, "You look so young. You look really cold. You want to come into my shop? It's warm in here. I'll get you something to eat and drink." That's something like a 70s PDF file. "Come into the back of my van. I have puppies. I have sweets in the back of my van with a tear-stained mattress in the back." See it a fucking mile off. I personally think these people work in a network similar to a grooming gang up in Telford or Rotherham or wherever else they're going to be based. You put someone on the front line who's going to be taken in. A homeless woman, for example, shivering on the streets, begging for money, and you get some kind-hearted soul, such as this poor young girl, willing to give her a cup of tea. Leads her down a dark alley into an absolute hellish situation. It brings me to tears, my dear friends. Lump in the throat. It's horrific. It really is. He continued. He knew she was from far away from home. There was discussion about that. Ironically, he told her it wasn't safe on the streets. He coaxed her into the shop under the pretense of being concerned. Really, he only had sex in mind. It's been 14 minutes, my friends. I'm not going to go on anymore. You can see what's happened here. Just like I stipulated before, that woman, that homeless woman, was in on the act. She's probably been paid to, it's quite like Ghislaine Maxwell. Is that Ghislaine Maxwell, whatever the fuck else you call her, that woman of Epstein, coercing people into the lion's den. And those people who go into the lion's den are never quite the same again. It's horrific. It really is, my friends. The lengths that these people go to entice in innocent young girls to doing unspeakable things. I mean, I don't know. almost brings me to tears. I'm never usually moved to tears, my friends, but when it involves children, young, innocent children like that, buying a fucking cup of tea for a homeless woman, and what happens to her? She gets fucking R-worded. I've got no words. That's my video, my friends. I'm sorry it's took so long to get through this. And it is an old story, but nonetheless, carpe diem. Let me know what you think in the comments. And I'll probably see you on Monday. I need a break from all this shite. Cheers.